Today we're going to be talking about something super fun called penetration testing or pen testing with our best friend Perry the Platypus. We all know that he's the best at penetrating everything. Okay then, so what is pen testing? It's an authorized attempt to evaluate the security of a system. So you're given a system, right? You're given some kind of OS, some kind of network, some kind of service, and you're trying to find all the holes in it and then eventually report back to your customer or just exploit the hell out of it. And common targets for pen testing are servers. So if I manage to get root access on your server, it's not your server anymore, right? It's mine because I have root access. Let's see, there's endpoints. We can target APIs. So if I somehow manage to get access to Facebook's API and change it so that it just returns butts for everything, for every API call, then that's going to make a lot of people unhappy, of course. There's also mobile apps, devices, and of course one of the most important things that people target is data. We all want to keep our data secure, and pen testing is a great way to determine if your system is sufficiently secure. So it's important because if you have any level of public-facing anything, you will most likely get hacked. It's kind of funny looking at the whitehat.org. There's a web server that runs that site, and it's hosted on Cal Poly servers, and there's hundreds of megabytes of SSH logs of people trying to get in. So you can clearly see that it's like brute force, people from like Germany or from China trying to attack our little website. So we have a public server out there, and it's getting hacked. So let's see. As you guys all know, we see Snapchat, Target, and Mustang News recently were all hacked, mostly because they don't keep their software updated. Like in the case of Mustang News, people weren't keeping the WordPress updated, and so some script kiddies managed to get around to the site, did some, some vulnerability testing, and found some exploits for WordPress. And down went Mustang News. And also, as you know, as software engineers and as computer scientists, as future professionals, in order to really protect ourselves, in order to build robust systems, we have to know how the criminals are getting in. And so pen testing is definitely a great skill to have. And note is that don't hack what you're not allowed to. So if you're going to go pen testing something, don't go into systems that you're not given permission to. So this is why we're white hat hackers. We don't do it for crime or for money. We do it to tell people about their vulnerabilities and help them fix it. So with that said, there is a machine somewhere in this room that is connected to a Wi-Fi network, and I gave you permission to hack the hell out of it. There's a web server running on it. So for those of you who already have some pen testing experience, you guys can go ahead, connect to the network, find the server that's running on there, and go ahead, do whatever the hell you want on it. Alright, so for the rest of us, there's some typical steps. There's probably is a standardized list of steps somewhere for penetration testing. But these are just the three that I boiled it down to. Number one is, define your target. You need to figure out who your target is and how deep you're allowed to go. Then you gotta find your vulnerabilities using scanners or using some kind of detection libraries to figure out, what software a certain system is running. And then, of course, you can either report your vulnerabilities or exploit the vulnerabilities. All right. So the first step, you have to locate your target. Of course, how far can you go? We've already defined that. There's a machine somewhere in this room connected to this Wi-Fi network that has a server running on it, and it's a web server. And so how the hell do we go about actually discovering this server on our network? Well, there's a handy little tool called Nmap. It's a great tool for scanning networks and scanning hosts and doing all kinds of information gathering on devices on a network. And so, if you guys have Nmap installed, feel free to fire it up, connect to the network, and run this command. But don't do this on Cal Poly networks, please. So if you're going to run any of these techniques or any of these any of these programs, don't do it on the Mustang Wireless because that's against the rules. Oh, really? Oh, well, this is just scanning the subnet. So right now, this is going to do... Oh, it is? Okay. That one? Okay. All right, so this is going to do a very verbose, fast scan, a basic scan. So what this is going to do is going to try to connect to every possible host on this particular subnet, and then port scan it. So it's going to go through every port, try to connect to it, and let's see if it finds anything. So let me actually disconnect from Secure Mustang Wireless. All right, we should be good now. Copy. You'll see. All right. So this is going to take a while, but it's basically just going through the entire network, trying to find hosts that are up. So it's probably going to find a lot of you guys who's ever connected to the network, and it's going to tell you what ports are open. So you see that it's finished scanning all these ports or all these hosts, and these particular hosts are down. See what else it finds. Okay, so we found some open ports. We discovered all right. So here we have a host .102, and actually didn't find anything there. But for host 106, it found port 80 open, port 139, port 443, port 445. And so we're just going through trying to figure out which one of these hosts on our network is actually the server that we're trying to find here. So let's see if it found it. Okay. So for the sake of time, we're not going to scan every host that it found. I'm just going to tell you the IP address, but this is just a demonstration of what Nmap can do. It's pretty powerful. It tells you exactly what ports are open, which is awesome. So in this particular case, it looks like, I think it's going to be 101. It's going to be our target here. Let's actually double check. Yeah, so 101. Cool. Great. So now we found our host. It's on the wireless network, and its IP address is 192.168.1.101. So now we can use Nmap again to find out even more about it. So we see that these ports are open, and apparently there's a web server running on it somewhere. So let's go ahead, visit that IP address to see if there actually is, a web server running on it. So using our handy little web browser, let's visit it. Oh no, the web page isn't up. What could this mean? Maybe there is another port that's open that's actually serving the page, and we can actually use Nmap to figure out exactly what services are running on each port. So these descriptions here are just pulled from a database. They didn't actually query those ports and try to figure out what exact version of software was running on it. So to do that, once we found our host, we can actually go to, how do you go next one? Next, F5. Okay then. All right, so now we can use this Nmap command to get more information on a particular host. So it's going to do SYN scanning, which is known as stealth scanning. It's less invasive on networks. At least it's more stealthy. It's harder to detect. P0 means it's pingless. So since we already found our host, we don't need to ping it anymore, really. SV means it's going to do version detection, and -O is going to do OS detection. So it's going to try to figure out more stuff about this particular server that is on our network. So let's see, sudo nmap -s. Looks like we already have it in our history. So it's 192.168.1.101. I think that's the right address. Yeah, it is. Okay, it's going to take a while. Well, once this report comes out, we'll see what operating system it's running, what services are actually running on those ports, and then we can find out some more stuff and find out where exactly this web server is running. And this is taking a while. Not really sure why, but eventually this is going to tell us. Just to skip ahead, it's going to tell us that port 88 is actually the one that that is serving the web server. All right, so let's just go ahead and visit that. Okay then, so now we finally encountered the website, and now we have something to actually test now. So we see that it looks like some kind of social network site here, and you can register and log in. So let's see what registering does. I'm just going to log in. I'm going to make a user. All right, so it looks like some kind of Twitter site here. Is anyone else following along? It'd be cool if you guys can get some posts on there. Okay, so go ahead. Refresh? Okay. Oh, would you look at that? Cool. So I have friends on this social network. I can also say stuff, Yeah, it looks like, my username is LOL. Someone on there has username user. Some people are hello. So that's pretty awesome, This is a pretty cool site. Let's see, let's try to figure out what's wrong with it. So, looks like Nmap finally finished. So it correctly determined that port 88 does have an Apache web server running on it. And it looks like it also has, an FTP port open, which is kind of interesting. FTP is a really stupid way to transfer files, and it also has a SSH server running to log in. All right, so now that we have access to our website and we finally can access it, now we can go ahead and start figuring out what is possibly wrong with this site. So how do you find vulnerabilities? Well, just go ahead and use it. There is value in using the service. It doesn't have to be a complete black box test or a complete you don't have to know nothing about it. You can just go ahead and use it. And how does it handle errors? So how does it handle 404 pages? How does it handle, invalid logins? And is there any possible admin pages or privileged functionality? So there are some techniques for doing some of this, specifically with web apps. It's pretty easy to generate a 404 page. Let's see, what happens if I go to home? Oh. Someone already take the host down? No? Okay, we're good. Oh. Okay, it looks like someone is doing something. Let's see what people are doing. No, nothing too bad yet. Looks like my Chrome is just having a hard time. Okay, well that's a basic 404 page. Nothing too interesting. Let's log out, let's log in, which is random garbage. Does it correctly tell me that that user doesn't exist? Well, that's pretty cool. All right, let's see if I register, random garbage, will I be able to log in as that random garbage. This is basic fuzzing, basically. Just giving the application a bunch of crap data and see how it handles it. So I logged in with this, I log in with that, and cool, I can actually log in as that user. Alright, so now let's look at some other features of this site. There's this private and there's, some kind of cow functionality here. Let's see what the private one does. So this means that, this is a private post. Can anyone verify that they cannot see my post? I'm sure. This is a very robust website. I'm sure no one will see it. Let's see, there's also, I can post, ooh, cool. Looks like the output of a cow command. That looks kind of suspicious. We all know that there's a program called cowsay, hello, and it gives me a cow saying hello, which is pretty cool. So that means that this site also has that functionality. So that's when you start to get kind of suspicious. How is it actually handling the making of that graphic? Does it actually call some kind of program somewhere? Does it do the cowifying itself? These are all possible weak points of we see some nice refresh. Ooh, fancy. Okay, so now we got looks like someone ran like uname or something, and they got some data from our operating system. Okay. So another way to just basic like forensics or basic vulnerability finding is there's like a famous file that's hosted on many web servers called robots.txt, and basically that tells web crawlers what they're allowed to index and what they're not allowed to index. So oftentimes in like CTFs and stuff, that's one of the easiest ways to get access into admin panels, because they just tell the web browsers, the web crawlers, don't index this. So let's go ahead. This is that. And we see, okay, well, it looks like there's an admin.php in there. I wonder what happens if we visit it. Too bad. I'm not authorized. That's too bad. All right. Well, we'll come back to that later. So now, let's see where we at. So now that we've actually got a website, we need to figure out what could go wrong with it. It's basically a program that handles requests, basically. It's not much different from like a desktop application or like a script that you run on your computer. Anything that can go wrong with a program can go wrong with a website. And with websites, it's a lot more dangerous for things to go wrong in, because they operate on a huge stack. There's a network stack, there's a database stack, there's a web server. So if you get into a web application, you could possibly compromise every single layer in this stack. So as we'll see today, this is a really crappy web application, and you will actually be able to gain root access on this machine using just basic techniques. And so build good applications and test them thoroughly. And you guys have been following the web app class here, so we all know what get and post requests are. Sessions, we did some session hijacking with Jared, I think, and then Peter talked about input sanitization. So this website right now does all of this very poorly, so it's going to be really easy to penetrate it. And there is a nice project out there called the Open Web Application Security Project, and there are some cool guys that go through and evaluate a whole bunch of reports and a whole bunch of bug reports, and try to find the top 10 most dangerous and common mistakes that web application developers make. And we see here that, number one is injection. That's really any kind of injection. So like there's SQL injections where you get some kind of unauthorized access into a database, or you insert stuff that's not supposed to be there. There's cross-site scripting. There's, let's see, cross-site request forging, all that fun stuff. And if you guys want to do some research, this particular website is a pretty nice, it's a pretty nice, let's see, it has a pretty extensive database of all the vulnerabilities for like a whole bunch of applications. So, security focus bid. What to do? securityfocus.com/bid. There we go. Oh, I'm not connected to the internet. No wonder. Okay, so if you guys want to go check it out, you can actually filter by companies. So if you want to find vulnerabilities for like Microsoft Word or something, you select Microsoft, you select Word, you select the version, and it tells you every single security vulnerability that has been filed with it, along with actual exploits. So some of them actually have code to exploit the particular version of the software you're looking at. So let's see.
What was the link to that again?
It's securityfocus.com/bid. That's a really cool site. Like it has like thousands upon thousands of companies, has thousands, it's a whole bunch of stuff they can go research and figure out what vulnerabilities there are. So now for some of the basics of vulnerabilities, we have a SQL injection. I think you guys already talked about this. Have you guys talked about this already?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so basically, since you guys have already seen this, when we log in, we have a SQL query where we select, where we get a user where their username is LOL and their password is password. So this is pretty basic SQL. And so what we can do is modify the username field and add some extra characters in there to change the meaning of the SQL. So doing something like this, where you add like an ending quote here in like in your input, and then you do just or 1 is equal to 1. So what this turns a SQL into is it says get the user where the username is equal to LOL or 1 is equal to 1. So this is going to give you basically anything. It's going to give you like the first row off of the table because 1 is equal to 1 will always be true. So if you can somehow, so if you have like just like any username and you put like an ending quote and or 1 is equal to 1, you can log in. So let's actually try that in our very robust website. So let's say, okay, we see people are trying to get kind of weird here. So let's say I want to log in as Peter using our handy little SQL injection. End off the quote. All right. Well, let's do it with SQL injection. All right. So it can where username is equal to Peter and the query there, and then comment everything out. I don't even need to put a password. I could do whatever. But that will allow me to log in as Peter. And so now I've successfully, logged in as Peter using a simple SQL injection. And that's why injections are number 1 on the top 10 vulnerabilities for OWASP, is because they're like so trivial. And here, let's try this again. So basically, you're doing like Peter and single quote, and the query with a semicolon. And then comment in SQL. So that means a double dash with a space at the end. And so that turns the query into select username or select user where username is equal to Peter. So everything following that part of the query will be commented out and so it won't be processed. So it's not even going to look for the password here. So that means I can successfully log in as Peter because the wonderful developers of the site decided to not escape strings, as we all know is very important. So let's log in as Peter again. Okay then. So now we see that people are starting to mess around with this. Another thing to test is HTML. So if I can put an H1 in there, a header. You guys see that? H1. All right. So I can successfully add HTML elements, and people are trying to add in little JavaScripts in there. So would you look at that? Some people are actually modifying but get them inserted into the database. Okay then, so that's pretty funny. Okay, so now we've done SQL injections. Let's see. XSS, you see that it's already happening. People are injecting JavaScript into my poor little website, and everyone who visits that website is running the script that was put in by the evil person. I'm guessing it's like Peter or someone. And so we see that HTML isn't getting properly escaped, and so that's pretty bad. And so now with XSS in place, once we figure out that cross-site scripting is a vulnerability, we can do something fancy like session hijacking, So this is basically trying to steal the cookies of some other user to impersonate them. So we already see how we can impersonate someone with a SQL injection, but now we can actually impersonate them also with a little bit of scripting. Whoops. Let's save. Screw you. Okay, so all right, so I have this little script here that I'm going to paste into my little status here. So what this is going to do is let's wrap it in script tags. All right, so this is going to make a new HTTP request. It's going to instantiate one. And this is how most web apps work. You know, in the background, JavaScript is telling the server about something that's happening. It's giving it data. It's getting data. So what we're doing here is setting some parameters. So actually, let's actually do something else that's going to make more sense right now. So you guys all know about get and post. I'm going to post a message there. And then we see here in the web browser that this data was posted on here. So we see that the form data, the message, was my message that I set there. So using that JavaScript, I'm basically using this same URL, the new post.php, but I'm going to be giving it other data with my XSS script. So this is basically doing, so for everyone who visits the site, I'm going to post to the website telling them and sending their message as their document cookie. All right, so this is getting the value of all their cookies, which is how a web server keeps track of who you are, and then sending them to the server. And so, of course, whoever visits the site in a bit is going to run this script, and it's going to tell the server, here's my cookie, post it on the public. All right, so, all right. So just someone refresh the page. I'm going to go steal your cookie. All right, we're going to hack Peter again. Okay, so. Okay. Am I logged in as Peter? Yeah, I'm logged in as Peter. Okay. Okay, I'm logging as LOL again. All right, so we see that Hello posted their cookie onto the site because I made them do it, because you know it was a nice little script I made. And so I go into my cookie editor, paste the value for this new cookie in there, and hit save. So now when I refresh the page, my browser, my Chrome, is going to tell the server, here's my cookie. The server's going to say, hey, I know that cookie. You're hello. Here's your home page. So if I refresh, ooh, I'm actually admin now. How'd that happen? Interesting. Ah. Okay then, so now we have some very dangerous stuff here. You know, people are trying to get root access to something.
I mean, having remote code execution as root in the back is nice, but it'd be better to have a shell.
Yes.
I like the IO.
All right, so now we've done SQL injections, we've done session hijacking. Now let's actually demonstrate how we'd go about getting root access to the server. So remember I talked about that cal command was kind of weird. So let's actually do something kind of funny with it. You know, let's write a sentence. Semicolon. No, I like using semicolons. I know how to use them. I like chicken. I'm gonna post that. And interesting. Only sentence appeared there. So what might be happening is that semicolon is telling something somewhere that that command is finished. And so as some of you guys have already found out, the semicolon basically ends the current command and starts off a new one. So we can do echo, you know, hello everybody. And then so what this is probably going to do is it's going to execute the cal command. It's going to set the cal to say whatever I said here, and then it's going to say hello everybody after the cal. That'd be really stupid, huh? That'd be super crazy if it did. So, sure enough, that's exactly what it does. And so as pen testers, we all know this is pretty bad. And now we can go ahead and start making our little rootkits. So, as we said, remote code execution, or basically any code that's not supposed to be running on a server, is pretty bad. So let's say I want to put some kind of root script on there. I've already made a script here. It's called root.php. All it's going to do is it's going to say, it's going to exec whatever I post to it, and it's going to give me the result from it. So now I have this specialized script that's going to execute whatever I give it. So the hard part is actually getting this onto the server. But we already know that we can echo stuff and that we can run arbitrary commands. So let's say if we can actually write the files. So you know, do an ASDF. Let's do an ls-al. Let's see what's on the server. Oops, forgot to do this. ls-al. Got to pipe it through cow. So we see, here's all the files on our web server. You see, oh, there's already a root.php in there. Did someone make that? It's probably. Okay, well, let's just do echo this into root.php. I'm going to steal your root. And since PHP expands $ into variables, you have to escape the $. And I think that should work. Oh no, it's not. I have to put double quotes. Alright, so what this is doing is I'm making a executable PHP script on this web server that I'm going to be able to run from another place. Alright? Cool. So now I have a root PHP script running on the site, and now I have a specialized little web, like a little communicator with it that it's pretty simple. All it's going to do is it's going to ask me for a URL, and then for every input that I give it, it's just going to send the command to it, and then it's going to give me whatever it returns. So let's copy the URL. Python root it. Here's my my URL here. Awesome. So let's see if I have root access. I do not yet because my PHP script is messed up. But let's see. What did it actually post in there? I'm cheating right now. Oh, I see. Gotcha. I forgot to escape the cow. Okay. So cat root.php. Cool. We got to add the I forgot to add a semicolon basically. So lol echo. And escape the $, good old PHP. And now I should be able to have root access on it. So let's copy our URL again. Run our script. Alright, so now through the website, through a root script, we have a shell running on this server. This is very bad. And let's actually see what privileges the web user has. So all servers run as a particular user on a server. So Apache classically runs as a user called www.data. And a lot of lazy system administrators will just run it as sudo or run it as root or give it all the permissions so they don't have to set permissions on files individually. And so that's pretty dangerous. So let's see if we have sudo access for this. So if we do sudo echo, this should not give us an error. And of course, this does not give us an error. So using cool little tools like, let's see, add users. Okay. What this is going to do, so these are the commands to add users on a Linux system. So if we do, you know, sudo add user dash disabled password dash gcos moo. If I want to create a new user moo, this is how I would go about adding a new user on a Linux system. And I use it wrong. So let's just copy and paste. Awesome. And of course, I need to change the password so I can log in. change the password for the Moo user. And now here comes the dangerous part. I'm going to add the user Moo to the sudoers group, and sudo basically gives you root access on the server. Here I am adding a random user to the user group, to the sudo group. Looks like Moo is already a member of it. Okay then, so let's just do SSH, Moo at 192.168.1.101. I think that was the IP. Of course, we're going to trust this. And now we have an account on our web server with sudo access. And so this is pretty bad. And basically, we've pwned the system. We've successfully got in. We screwed up their site. We defaced it. We probably messed up their database also. And now we have root access on their server. So these people get a 0 out of 10 for security. See if anyone's running anything fancy. Alright, so no one's running anything. Anyways, yeah, so we successfully hacked into their site and their server. So I guess for the remaining time, I will reset the server, and anyone who wants to visit it and hack at it, you can do so. Yeah. Nothing's on the FTP. That was a curveball. All right, so let's see. All right, the site is reset. All the posts should be gone. Do I have anything else to say? Where'd my presentation go? Oh, I closed it. That's all I have to say. Yes, that's it. Thank you. All right. Any questions? No? This VM will probably be in the White Hat Lab. You guys can go hack on it. Why the server's down right now, I don't know. Did anyone do anything evil to the server? Let's see. Yeah, me
Are
too.
we allowed to?
Go ahead, man. It's
It's nice that no one did all the presentations.
yeah. Yeah, so if you guys want more resources on how to learn more of this stuff, there's overthewire.org. I really like it. I need to disconnect from this network. Anyways, overthewire.org has a bunch of cool little challenges like this. They have them in levels. So you go through, hack some kind of binary, hack some kind of site, and you basically just advance the levels. There's also hackthisite.com or something. That's a good one. It's more web hacking. Murtaza, good old hacker friend, he says that wechall.net, I think, is a good one. So wechall.net. It's a pretty good site to learn about CTFs and exploits and vulnerabilities. And yeah, my site's not responding. What?
May or may not be because I
Let's see. Well, there's not too much happening on the server right now. No. Come on, guys, just a week. Work on it.
Pseudo halt. Yeah. Halt process. Wow. Oh.
Is giving a talk on penetration testing. Next week, Jared's giving a talk on compilers. Yes. Very exciting. And then next Monday, a couple of White Hat officers are actually meeting with Bill Britton. and working on a project with the police forensics group. So at the general meeting, we'll have some more information on that and try to gauge the interest of the club to see if people are interested in working on that type of project. So